Changing words into codes and codes back into words is an important 11 plus verbal reasoning skill. Let's look at an example. We've got the word story and we're given the code for it is VWRUB. So that's our pattern, and now we have to work out the pattern from using the alphabet, and then we can use that to answer further questions of changing other words into codes and vice versa, other codes back into words. So let's work through how we work out what this pattern is. Our first letter, S, is changing into a V. So let's look at that on the alphabet here. S, I'm going to call that the first letter. So 1, 2, 3 and 4. So S changes to V by going 4 letters forward in the alphabet. We could just rely on that and say that's actually the pattern. I think it's probably better to do a couple more letters to make sure that the pattern is continuous through the whole of story to VWRUB. So let's do T next. So T is here, 1, 2, 3 and 4. So it is the same pattern, 4 letters forward gets us from T to W. Okay, I'm pretty happy that that pattern is now going to be standard throughout this word. But there's one thing I notice about it that's going to need some extra work, and that's the letter Y. If we look at Y on the alphabet, you can see that Y has only got Z after it. So now you may ask, well, what are we going to do? Because we've got to have a 4-letter pattern. Well, in this case, the alphabet is repeated or wrapped around, and we need to write some extra letters on here to make the code and word pattern work for this letter Y. So let's just check that one. Y is number 1, Z2, A3 and B4. So Y is going to be, and following the same pattern. So we've worked out the pattern now. We know that it's 4 forward. So I'm just going to write that on the board here so we don't forget. 4 forward. Okay, that's going from word to code. If we have to do any code back to words, then that pattern would have to be reversed and it would be 4 backwards. Right then, so we've got 4 forward. Let's do some questions. Okay, we can see that our word is cry, and we've got to work out the code for it using the same rule that we've already worked out. That's 4 forward. Just put that on the board to remember it. Okay, starting at C, 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 forward, and that gives us the letter F. And the next letter is R. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's the letter U. And finally, Y again. So I'm going to extend the alphabet yet again. And Y, 1, 2, 3, 4, giving us a B. So the code for the word cry is FUB. So that's one going word to code. Let's do one going the other way now, going from a code back to a word. It's always important to read the question carefully when you get one of these. It may look like a word and you might think of going for a code again, but this one will definitely say It's a code. You've got to go and find the word for that code. So remember as well, let's make a note of it, 4 backwards because we're going the other way. So we'll just do it with a different colour pen. So we're starting at E, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4. So we've gone 4 backwards. So that's the letter B. R next. 1, 2, 3, 4. So R is the letter O. And finally A. Well, I can put a 1 there. But again, we've got to repeat the alphabet here. Z, Y, and X. So Z is 2, Y is 3, and X is 4. So that's an X. So there we have a word changed to a code, and a code changed back into a word. The one thing I would emphasise is that you do have to remember which way you're going, whether you're going forwards or backwards. It's the one thing that I see students regularly get wrong, where they've done 1 or 2 of these and they don't read the question properly, noticing that this one's going back the other way. And so they do another word to code for that one rather than code to word. So that's my one top tip, really read the question properly to make sure you know which way you're going.